We're doing it again. Another episode, another day. How was your day? How's your day going so far? Has it been good? You've been working hard. You've been working tirelessly. Well, okay. Hopefully, I can distract you for the next 45 minutes, maybe hour, depending on how long I'm going to take. Because I watched, or I guess in the process of watching the Paranormal Activity series, which if you guys watched last episode, I mentioned that while I was while I was doing laundry and cleaning my house, I decided because podcasts were just like kind of I don't know they weren't capturing me the way that it usually has, and I listen to podcasts almost every day, and I wanted a change of pace, so I decided I think it's time to rewatch the Paranormal Activity series. And wow, what a mistake that was, huh? That was because it's so exciting. Because like these are like memories that I've had like from previous watches and even watching the first one on a burned DVD. It's a phenomenal fucking time. So I rewatched it and I realized that there's a whole ass story. Now I know the first two were like two connective tissues of kind of the story of Katie and Christy, the sisters, right? And I had no idea that the third one went to the past and you know uh, 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 showed the history of of where it all began, essentially, right? And then I watched the fourth one last night. So let's just get into it, okay? We don't got time to waste, all right? So, Paranormal Activity 1 came out in 2009 and around Halloweeny time, right? So, in 2009, this film came out and it was shot in 2006, I believe it was. Something like that, or it was like shot. Yeah, I think it was shot in 2006, and it was a budget of $15,000, which is insane. That's crazy. That's like crazy town. Um, and it was shot in 10 days, or I think it was like shot in a week. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was shot in a week. So, um, pretty crazy. So much to discuss. I was going to talk about the other found footage stuff, but like I think I want to talk about that broadly once I finish the entire series, just so like I can remember other found footage stuff. So like if you guys have watched other found footage movies, let me know. There's so many of them. Tell me anything that is interesting to you or wasn't, because I think what I'm going to do at the end of this is do like every other great YouTuber and Twitch streamer does. I'm going to do a tier list for the Paranormal Activity series because I think this series is phenomenal. And I definitely want to, at the end, give my overall review of it. But to just like kind of break it down, right, for the first one and my thoughts on it. So for Paranormal Activity 1, the film begins with Katie driving up, and Micah is showing off his new fancy little camcorder camera that apparently was bought at like Best Buy, which is kind of hilarious, by Oren Peli, the director. He directed it, he wrote it, he produced it, he did all the cinematography of it, and apparently people had to dress in black so that they are not reflecting off of like walls or any lights or anything like that. So like of course, like when there's things that happen at night, everyone has to wear all black and stuff. I think that was the same thing for Blair Witch, if I'm not mistaken. Like it's just a bunch of like a film crew just like dressed in black, and just like the paranormal series, not given a script, but given kind of a premise of what each scene was going to be, or what the overall vibe was gonna happen, and they just kind of let them run with it, which is no different than the first one. So, continuing on, so Mika sets up a camera in their bedroom to record any paranormal activity that occurs while they sleep, because they moved into this house and they realized that like crazy shit's going on and we don't know why. And this is definitely something to address. And then a paranormal a psychic comes in to essentially like see what everything's going on, and suggests that like Katie is being haunted by a demon that feeds off of negative energy and is intent on tormenting her, which then sparks a whole other thing where Katie then brings up her past of like of her seeing like ghost occurrences or like any paranormal shit that kind of went on like in her childhood. And so essentially the doctor said, okay, you got to figure this out, we got to figure all this out. So and also the doctor was like, don't even try to talk to the demon, don't even use a Ouija board, don't even try to talk to this thing without at least consulting a demonologist or some sort of paranormal investigator guy, right? So of course they set up as many they set up as many they set up as many angles as they possibly can to capture the occurrences and whatnot. And fun little fact: the guy who shot the film, the main actor Mika, he actually had experience of being a cam op for I think a TV station, if I'm not mistaken, like a local TV station. So he knows how to hold the camera, except for the fact that it's a found footage horror. So most of the time, people behind cameras, it's going to be shaky as fuck. So it gets a little disorienting for sure. Especially watching this back to back, you kind of like, oh, okay. All the Steadicam shit just gets really, or I guess it's handheld, right? It's not really Steadicam, so it's like it's all shot handheld, and it just is shaky as fuck, which is, I guess, part of the whole thing. So, moving on, night after night after night, they hear grunts, screaming, screeches from the demon. And one occurrence, they laid out like powder, right? Like baby powder. Mika thought that it was a fantastic idea to see where the footsteps go. And of course, the demon shows that there's like, not human footsteps, but like what look like talons, essentially, just like kind of like walking through the hallway and shit, just like, stalking. And every little so often, and this is where the movie gets great, and all these movies get great, is night after night, barring all the jump scares and like, the demon literally dragging Katie off of the bed, dragging her through the hallway with like a huge ass bite mark and shit like that. It gets fucking wild, right? And of course, Mika, being the regular ass dude that almost every single dude usually does, and be like, oh, it's not real. Oh, that's bullshit. Stop being weird about it. I'm going to get a Ouija board and I'm just going to set it up, despite the fact that, everyone who is an expert said, don't do that. He was like, oh, I'm going to do it. So set it up. Of course, it lights on fire and shows this like kind of, I guess like picture. I guess it was like some marking on it, right? And of course, now that the demon is awoken, the demon is gonna start fucking some shit up, right? So little pieces of breadcrumbs of this story is kind of laid out, and we realize that this this thing is hunting Katie specifically because of her childhood, because they found a burned picture of her as a kid. And this was something that Katie thought that was, gone when the house burned down when they were a kid, which is also very interesting, right? It's like, what the fuck? Your house burned down? How? Why? We don't know, not until the third movie, mind you. So we get through all of this up until the end. Up until the end, where the final night where Katie is now fully possessed. So like we're led to assume that because the demon bit Katie, now the demon just sort of lives inside of Katie, right? So the final night she gets up from bed and just stares at Mika for at least 2 hours and then leaves, screams, blood-curdling scream. Mika jumps out of bed, runs, and then we hear, screams and cries, and Mika is just thrown across the hallway into the camera, only for Katie to find the camera, or I guess the demon now finds the camera, shuts it off, and that's it. And then it just shows that Mika died and Katie's missing. We don't know where she is. Which is pretty crazy. I know there's like alternate endings, but like I just want to stick with the original ending. And we'll talk about it probably in a future episode. But anyways, so with that that all has happened, now we move on to Paranormal 2, which happened just 2 months prior to the first film, okay? So now we're seeing Christy's world, the other sister, right? Katie's sister. So Christy welcomes a new fresh baby, fresh from the oven, into the world, and and is the I think the only boy in that family. Which is why the demon takes interest in it, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But basically, like, the film starts off with like what was presumed to be a burglary. The family comes home one day and they saw that like all sorts of shit has been like kind of trashed, and things were all over the place, and all the rooms were trashed. Except for the baby's room. Surprising enough. So they set up cameras all throughout the house, which is kind of funny because it's like peeking into someone's diary. It's like you just like have these cameras rolling at all times throughout the day, every day. It's just kind of funny to me. But anyways, it doesn't matter. But the point of all this was that to capture anything that is going on these cameras, right? So, of course they don't, except they capture all the crazy shit that happens, like cabinets flying and, of course, like people getting dragged. And like at one point, the baby was like kind of like taken out of the crib, and the baby just like fucking waddles around, walks around the house and shit out of the crib. It's a lot of crazy, scary stuff. But here's where the story gets interesting, okay? So every so often you see Katie kind of coming in and out of the house, and the family, specifically Christy, had occurrences of paranormal shit in her history, like Katie, that kind of just damaged her psychologically, right? As a kid. And so, of course, when this newborn baby is born, then Toby then just starts fucking terrorizing the house. The demon's named Toby. I'll explain that. It's explained in the third film, I think. So the demon now is just having a permanent residence, living rent free in this poor family's house, and all the occurrences happen, like all of the the jump scares and all the shit that goes on in the house happens just around both Christy and her husband Daniel. Yeah. Daniel and Christy just just barely miss it. And Daniel, of course, has an explanation for all of this, right? There was one point where, like, the pool cleaning tool kind of crawls up a wall and then, like, out of the pool and onto, like, the side of the pool, which, is kind of chalked up as, oh, it's just a high-powered vacuum thing, and it just crawled up the wall, like all pool cleaning things do, I guess. That's rich people shit. I never had a pool growing up. I wasn't that rich. I wasn't rich at all. So other things happen, including the poor maid who is very superstitious, and the maid like had to, like, burn a sage because, like, I think, like, pots and pans were flying all over the place, or like something happened where it just shook this poor maid and was just like, yeah, we gotta, or I guess she's a nanny, right? So this poor nanny is just all shaken up, and she starts, like, burning sage to ward off all the evil spirits, which seemed to work. And then, of course, because it wasn't okayed by the husband for whatever fucking reason, the husband fires her because, why would you burn some sage? You're firing off the fire alarms. You're out of your mind, whatever. And she gets fired. And then, of course, it only gets worse, right? So it gets worse, and then things start happening to everyone in the family, even the dog too. Nothing bad happens to the dog except the dog gets, like, a seizure at one point and is taken to the hospital. No dogs were harmed in any of these films, by the way. Like, that's, like, such a silly concept, but I know, like, when there's a dog in distress, everybody's like, no, which rightfully so. Like, I don't want to see any animals getting harmed or whatnot, but just food for thought. Like, whenever you see that, almost every single movie, when there's an animal, a CGI animal, getting harmed or whatever, a puppet, just know that it's fake. And if you need even more reassurance, PETA always, at the end of so many movies, like mostly like motion picture films, will have a message at the end saying that no animals were harmed. There was a PETA, representative to monitor that, all that stuff, right? Not saying that there haven't been any animals harmed in any film. There has been, and it's very unfortunate. It's horrible. It's fucking disgusting. But, it goes without saying that, you have to have those messages, right? Especially if it looks like, if you sell it really well, that can distress a lot of people, mostly the audience, So, with that, more shit is going on. Crazy shit is happening. And so Chrissy then becomes possessed. And so Katie gets possessed, and there is they found that same photo that was in the first Paranormal Activity. That same photo of, I think it was Katie, or maybe it was Chris. Was it a photo of? Yeah, it was Katie. So that photo that was in the first Paranormal Activity is in this film. So the dad thought it was a fantastic idea to burn that photo. And so the photo was burned, and it seems like, oh, the demon is gone. It's all good, baby. It's all good in the hood. There hasn't been any more scares, and it's all done because now that Katie has moved in with Mika, now it's gonna bother them. Okay, so it bothers them, and after a few weeks, Mika passes. And Katie, one night, Katie just possessed Katie, comes to the house and fucking kills Christy, throws her into the camera, like, you know, just like poor Mika got, and takes the fucking baby. You know, Katie does, and takes a baby and just walks the fucking earth essentially, and is just missing. You know, while everyone else in the house is killed by the hands of Katie. I think the dad was killed, and I think there was a daughter, but like it was like a stepdaughter situation, I think from Daniel's side. I don't know. There's a stepdaughter, and she is locked out of the house. So essentially, like, showing to the audience that, like, she isn't necessary. It's not worth just killing her, right? Whereas Daniel is there. Toby got a fucking vendetta. So, of course, you know, possessed Katie fucking twists his neck and just goes upstairs, fucks up Christy, and then takes the baby. At least we're assuming that, you know, she killed Christy, but, you know, Christy was just thrown to the camera, and that was it. So, and the baby's name is Hunter, by the way, right? So Katie and Hunter then just fucking leave, and that's the end of 2, right? So going into 3 was interesting because the third one, in Paranormal Activity 3, we now are going to 1988. So now we're going back. And I got to tell you, this film fucking was the one, like, it fucked me up for sure. Just because of, like, the jump scares and the limitations of, you know, being in 1988. They didn't have, like, crazy surveillances. So, you know, they had to, like, rig a oscillating fan, or, like, rip apart an oscillating fan and use the motor to oscillate it and put a camera on top so that, you know, it can scan both sides of the room, which is a fantastic little neat camera cinematography thing, to just have that one camera just pan between, you know, the front door, through the living room and into the kitchen. So all the jump scares that happen are only in time when the camera oscillates, right? So there was one part where, like, you know, you see one part of the room where there's, like, this figure that has, like, a sheet over its head, you know, ghost shit, and then the camera oscillates to the kitchen where the ghost just fucking appears behind a babysitter who was looking after Katie and Christy. Just fucking disappears and shit like that. And there's lots of, like, neat little BTS tricks of it all. And I just think that, like, seeing the story with all the little breadcrumbs that it lays out, and we finally know the name of Toby, of this demon, which I thought was an interesting name, because I thought they were going to go, like, with the Captain Howdy route, like in Exorcist, you know, like what happened to, what was the main character's name in The Exorcist? Oh, God damn it. The Exorcist. It doesn't matter. I guess not. But, well, I'm already here. 1973. Reagan. Okay. So Reagan's little little imaginary friend, demon friend, is named Captain Howdy. You know? So it's kind of the same situation with Christy, where Christy was talking to an imaginary friend. And this point, nothing really happens to Katie, other than that Katie gets also fucked up by the demon, because, you know, Christy befriended this imaginary friend. And so, and they had this use of, like, attics and, like, closets and stuff that is very interesting, that they used in the third one and the fourth one, that I guess Toby resides in. And yeah, so the demon just gets progressively worse and worse and worse. And, you know, like, And then they did the rational thing in the third film, right? Where like all these things happen. Katie at one point gets like the demon grabs Katie by the hair and just like pulls her up and like throws her across the fucking room and shit like that. It gets fucking intense. It gets crazy intense with this movie, right? So it gets intense, and finally they made like the most rational decision, right? That like the audience thinks that like, oh, anybody with the right frame of mind should understand, and that is to just fucking leave, just go, right? But it doesn't help in the case of Christy, right? Because the demon is already there stalking, so wherever they go, the demon's going to follow eventually, or will just be there by proxy, you know? So they decide, okay, you know what? We're just going to leave and we're going to go to Grandma's house. And Grandma apparently is interested in like witchcraft, coven, you know, kind of weird shit going on. Not so much like coven stuff. You don't kind of find that out until the end. But the grandma is very odd, very aloof, because the grandma starts like, you know, saying that, you know, that they shouldn't stop having kids, and that, you know, the mom needed to bear a son, and that the grandma said, "Oh, you've always wanted a son. You've always wanted a small boy." And you know, she didn't want any more kids. It's like, you know, 2 girls is just enough, right? It's like you're raising 2 little girls. It's, you know, it's already kind of like enough, right? But there's like this persistence that the grandma wanted, was kind of trying to plant a seed in her brain, saying that, no, you want a boy, right? You need a boy, whatever. And so they stay at their grandma's house, and the dad, well, not the dad, I guess her boyfriend, the mother's boyfriend, wakes up in the middle of the night to bunch of noises, bunch of crazy shit, of course, happening because, you know, demons follow, duh, and stumbles on a whole ass fucking coven, right, of just these like women who are just like kind of like just doing witchcrafty shit. And so Dennis, the dude, tries to run away from all this shit, then gets caught in the crossfire of Toby. Toby fucks him up, kills him, and the daughters, you know, stick with the grandma, and you see them like, you know, you see Christy yelling for Toby to kind of come with them and whatnot, and it seems like they're both possessed at this point, which is also like kind of confusing, because it's like, okay, so can the demon possess more than one at a time, or is this like, you know, a demon and an entity, or what the fuck is going on? And you don't see the house burn down except for one tiny itty bitty little frame. Once they cut to black at the end, when Dennis gets fucked up by the by Toby, and then it cuts, and then it has this like, you know, like that VHS calibration of like static, but just for a brief second you see flames from the room that they were sleeping in, from the room that the mom and her boyfriend Dennis were sleeping in. I don't remember the mom's name. I don't remember her name. And Julie. Julie is the name. So Julie and Dennis's room were engulfed in flames. And that's it. Like that's the one frame you see, and that's all. So it kind of corroborates, you know, what Katie said in the first film, that, oh, the house burned down and I thought these pictures were gone as well, right? And after that, they kind of had a little bit of a button scene where they showed the events of Paranormal 2 in trying to find old VHS tapes that had this footage of Paranormal 3 in the box of VHS tapes that they recorded on. Apparently that box was missing. It was there in the beginning when Katie delivered it dropped it off to Christy's house and saying that, yeah, these are, old home movies. Crazy, right? And then those movies are fucking gone by the end of the film. Or sorry, after the events of 3, and they went, trying to look for that box of VHS, nowhere to be found, kind of mysteriously enough, right? So you kind of think like, okay, either Katie took the box of VHS tapes with Hunter, or the demon just grabbed that box as well. Who knows? So that's the third film. And I think in terms of jump scares, the third definitely took the cake because it was unrelenting. Like, it just, there's always something happening. It's either like the girls running around the hallways, or, there was an earthquake that happened one time, and you see like there's dust coming from the ceiling, and it kind of like not covered, but like kind of just dusted this figure, that got some of the dust. Like, you see like, figure of like shoulders and like a part of the head. And, that was captured by Dennis's, jerry-rigged cameras, right? And so, yeah, I think that those like jump scares like that is really neat. And even like the fake jump scares too, of like, there was one point where like Julie, the mom, hid in a closet, and Dennis and like some other and like his friend like heard some noises, went and checked it out, opened up a closet, and of course the fucking asshole Julie comes running out with a monster mask, scared the shit out of me. Not part of like the demon kind of, disturbances, just a throwaway fuck you jump scare, that ultimately fucked me up somehow. So yeah, I thought that Paranormal 3 was fantastic. And Paranormal 2 was directed by a different director. And the third one is directed by the first one was by Oren Peli. The second one was by a gentleman named Todd Williams. And I don't think they really did much other than just Paranormal 2 apparently. And that's about it. And then a few other films. But anyways, so it was just those two. And then comes the third film, which is by Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman, which I think carried on to do the fourth and the fifth one. I don't know about the sixth, but I think the fourth and fifth one was by the director duos, Henry and Ariel. So so getting into Paranormal Activity 4. This one I thought was pretty fucking terrifying, to say the least. Was it the scariest? I'm not sure. I guess I have to watch the rest of them to really have the full context of it. But the third one was pretty unrelenting. The fourth one I felt was unrelenting as well. But the fourth one takes place in a different family. Or at least we are led to believe it's a different family. And this family, in the fourth one, is just a regular ass like family, So let's see. So plot on October 9th, 2006. Christy and her husband Daniel are killed by demon-possessed sister Katie, who then abducts Christy's 1-year-old son, Hunter. The only survivor was Allie, Daniel's daughter, who was on a school trip. The police were unable to find Katie and Hunter. Oh, so I guess that was before that. Okay, so Allie was on a school trip. There was one point where the daughter, stepdaughter to Christy, was locked out of the house. So I guess that was like the night before, 2 nights before. Anyways, so yeah, so it's just this random family. This was just like a few years later, right? Like 4 or 5 years later, and this unfortunate family had kind of like some random paranormal disturbances, but nothing like, like this is the kind of shit that, like, of course, like the mom and dad just sort of is like, whatever, you know. But the interesting part, like, I guess, like the inciting incident that happens in this one is that there is a neighbor who recently moved in, and the neighbor to this random family, the victims of family, who another family, a single mother and a kid, moved across the street. And one night, ambulances came and cops came and all sorts of people came and, rolled out the single mother out on a gurney. And unfortunately, the kid is left like homeless. Like there's no way for, the kid to be with his mom. So the kid, who is hilarious, by the way, like just like, and a great little actor too, mind you, is invited by the family to stay, until the mom gets better and, she gets back on her feet and back home. And then, this little boy, Robbie, can move back. So Robbie comes and stays with this family, who's just an awkward little fucking kid, just doesn't know anything and dresses like a middle-aged man, with like gray clothing and socks with sandals. It's just the funniest fucking fit ever. Hold on, I want to see. Hold on, Robbie. Paranormal. Whoops. Hold on. Paranormal 4. Whoops. Okay, so Robbie, I wanna get like a full picture of this kid, because like this kid's fit was out of control. Oh, I can't find anything. What the hell? There's one point where you just see his fit, and he's just like oh, here we go. Yeah, that's not great, but I guess I can just show you really quick. There we go. So look at this kid's fit right here, boy. Oh my god, he got the fucking great get up, and you can barely see, but like he got the socks, the sandals, and he looks like that essentially, which is like kind of, I don't know. It's kind of hilarious to me. And this kid just being awkward as fuck. So we're led to believe, right, that, oh, this is Hunter. This is the kid. This is the kid who, was taken by Katie, right? And so one day, the kid, stays with this family for I think like a week or so, something like that, until the mother gets better. And the kid starts like, ever since this kid, kind of stepped into their lives, all sorts of crazy shit happens. And then here comes Toby, right? Toby then communicates to Robbie, and Robbie is able to communicate back to the demon, because they set up cameras all over the place. It kind of revolves around the daughter of this household, who just, rigged every single laptop around the house with 24-hour surveillance, by way of like the webcam on the cameras, which is shot phenomenally well, by the way. It's like 1080p fucking webcams apparently and shit, which is wild, right? This was, by the way, 2011. So FaceTime cameras were not that great. Okay, it was grainy as fuck. Anyways, yeah. So it's shot in a very interesting way, captured by all of the laptop cameras. Running 24-hour surveillance, and they even rigged the Kinect for Xbox as an additional camera, which I thought was very interesting, because I don't know if y'all are too young to remember Kinect, but Kinect was a kind of a neat little invention, I guess. Like I've had the Kinect, and it wasn't really that impressive, but what is impressive is what the camera can do with its infrared. So when it's dark and you film in night vision, you see when the Kinect is on, you see like a whole array of like little tiny infrared dots. And that's to track the motion of the Kinect. So like when you're playing a game, it can track your motion and all that shit, right? Sort of like the Wii, but without the remote, right? So, so all the crazy disturbances that happen at night are all, like, not all, but a lot of it was captured by the infrared. So there's like these tiny little micro dots that you see, and just in the middle of like the night, you will see like movements through that infrared shit, and it's fucking phenomenal. It is. That's why I feel like maybe the third one is the scariest, but this one was the fourth was pretty fucking scary. So, anyway, so they capture all these disturbances, right? And then the demon then reaches to Wyatt, because Robbie plays with Wyatt, and, they're around the same age, and they, are, they're just kind of up to no good. They start playing with the demon in the middle of the night, at like 2 a.m., and wakes up, of course, the entire family. And they're like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, stop doing this. Go back to bed." And and then chaos just kept ensuing more and more after, right? So Robbie convinces Robbie convinces Wyatt, the little boy who was part of this family, convinces him that he's got to be in contact with Toby. And so Toby the demon starts communicating to Wyatt, and then convinces Wyatt that, and by the way, Wyatt is an adopted boy. When he was a baby, they were adopted by that family who lives with them, and the little boy's name is Wyatt, right? So Toby tells him, your name is Hunter. You are Hunter. You are that little boy that Katie took at the end of, Paranormal 2 and just fucking left, and shit like that. So Toby then convinces him, and the Robbie and Wyatt both go across the street to Robbie's house. And of course, the daughter follows to see what the fuck is going on. And it just seems like it was an abandoned home that's like draped with all sorts of like, furniture coverings over like tables and chairs and whatnot. And it just looks like it's not lived in. It's very much looks like it was looks like a bunch of like squatters like came in and just, took the house and whatnot, right? So, towards the end of the fourth film, what's revealed is that little boy who was adopted, part of that family, is actually Hunter. At least we're led to believe this, right? So it's not Robbie. So my question is, and this was the only question that I had, is who the fuck is this little boy? And why? What did he have anything to do with Katie? Had anything to do with Toby? Even though he can communicate to Toby, like, who the fuck is this kid? Because now we see that, well, Wyatt is Hunter, or was Hunter, And the demon convinces him that he is a hunter and that his real parents, his real family, is with Katie. So Katie then, being possessed as she is, decides that, okay, well, I guess it's time to take Wyatt back, right? Or take Hunter, back and whatnot. And so, the parents then start getting scared, and of course, like when it's already too late, the mom and the dad, I forgot their names. It doesn't matter. The mom and the dad then start freaking out, even though the daughter literally was like pointing out all of the shit that has been going wrong, and Robbie comes in and fucks with Wyatt, and now all this demonic shit has been happening, all the paranormal shit has been happening. They didn't believe it until at the last second, when it was already too late, when the mom is fucked up, like just like grabbed by the ankles, thrown in the air, and just fucking drops. And the dad and the daughter were both like out, I think, like having dinner. And then so they came back, and the dad is scared shitless, sees that like the Wyatt, his kid, leaves with Katie to the across the street. So the dad goes across the street to Katie's house. He gets fucked up. He gets fucking killed. And the daughter then follows and tries to get to Wyatt. And she eventually finds Wyatt, but Katie finds her first and wants to fuck her shit up. Finally, after a kerfuffle in the house, the daughter jumps out of a fucking window, crazy, jumps out of a window and stumbles through the front lawn, the front yard, and finds Wyatt. And then it was like, Wyatt, what the fuck you doing? Or I guess now Hunter that we see. Wyatt, like, what are you doing? Like, let's go home. Then she turns around and sees what looks to be like at least 100 fucking witches from the coven. Like they've 100 times, fucking increased the number of this coven. So you see this sea of fucking witches, like these coven ladies, all fucking like kind of like, just like, robotic, just walking towards the daughter. And of course, Katie then, is right behind her, fucks her up. We don't know what happens to the daughter. We assume that the entire family is gone. So it just gets wild, right? Or it is wild, and it just gets even wilder. And yeah, the jump scares in this film, in the fourth one, is the one jump scare that really fucked me up. That really, I don't know why it did, but it fucked me up. Was there was one point where I think it was that one of the final nights, the demon wants to trap the daughter away from Wyatt so that Wyatt can then, walk with Katie across the street. Or no. Wyatt then leaves to, go with Toby across the street to Katie's, right? With Robbie and all that. So Wyatt is separated from the daughter, and the daughter is trapped in the garage. And the doors close, and there's a car inside, and it just starts up, and she can't open the door. She can't do anything about it. And you start to realize, oh fuck, carbon monoxide is just building up. And the daughter then starts choking. And then the daughter, like a fucking badass, just breaks the window, hops in the car, starts the car without a key, I guess, and just fucking barrels it out of the garage door, because the garage door just slams closed and can't be open. So the daughter's like, fuck this, break the window, get into the car, back it up, breaks through the garage door. The production value on this film is incredible. I don't know if they shot it in like a week or 2 weeks, but it's really fucking good. Anyway, so she crashes through that fucking garage, and finally breaks through and shit like that. And when you watch the film with everything that kind of like culminates to that moment is just, it gets intense and it just intensifies every single fucking time. And yeah, I think the intensity of these films really ramp up very well, especially to the third act. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I thought at one point, like, these films would start to tucker out and it'd be like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be more and more just kind of like the same shit. Now, I haven't finished the series. It could take a massive drop off after this point with, I think the next one I'm watching is the marked ones. Yeah, that's the Paranormal Activity series that we've gotten so far, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so I watched from the first to the fourth. The story is so fascinating. It's so interesting. The whole story with Katie and Christy, I hope continues, but I don't know how. Because, well, I know after the fourth one, we got to know, like, okay, well, now Wyatt, who is known as Hunter now, is with Katie, but, like, you know, where's Toby gonna go? Where the fuck is this coven? Who are this coven? Who is this coven? You know, like, what the fuck is going on with this shit? And I need to know more. All right, I need to know way fucking more. Right? So, yeah, that's been Paranormal Activity 1 through 4. I hope I'm not confusing with my analyses of all four of these films, but those are like my thoughts, like kind of like gestating throughout my brain. All these moments that I'm just like, oh fuck, this is crazy. Like, it gets more nuts, and I love the fact that all these films leave just enough breadcrumbs to leave you guessing, but answers some of the questions that, you know, the audience who have kept up with this film will be answered, but you're only going to get more questions, and not in a bad way, because then there's like new questions that come up, right? So questions have been answered, but then new questions come up, like, you know, like what happened with what happened with Hunter and Katie, and where are they fucking now? Clearly, they're not in the same fucking neighborhood. There's no way they're in the same neighborhood. I mean, they moved across states just to get to these people. You know, I think this film takes place in Nevada, but I know it was shot in L.A. because I recognize some of like the landmarks. You know, of all like they shot in this park, and I kind of recognize the park being in L.A. I don't know. If they sell it that it's shot in Nevada. Yeah, clearly, you know, demons can cross countries, especially covens can cross states. You know what I mean? Not countries, states, I mean. But, yeah, I've already gone 50 minutes, almost an hour about this. You guys like the Paranormal Activity series? Like, I feel like, you know, now that I'm older and I'm kind of interested more in the story aspect of it, I'm kind of curious what you guys think of this, because, like, did you have the same, like, because at least for me, like, watching these films or seeing these films come out, I just feel like, oh, it's just going to be a replicant of the last one, and for the most part, it is. But, like, there is a story. There's some substance that can get you through the fucking movie. And my only concern really is, who the fuck is Robbie from the fourth one? Like, who the fuck is this kid? This is just a random ass kid who just showed up with Katie and just disappears. Like, by the end of it, like, you don't see Robbie at all. Like, in the final 2 nights, I think, or the final night, you don't see Robbie whatsoever. You see Katie, you see Wyatt, you see everyone else except for Robbie. So if anybody has any theories, let your boy know, because I'm very curious, and I he's inspired me to rock a whole gray ass outfit with socks and sandals. I might do that for Thanksgiving tomorrow. Who knows? But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's been my analysis of Paranormal Activity. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're staying safe. Hope you're drinking plenty of water, and double knotting your laces. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next time. Yeah. Wow. Great dismount, Adam. Jesus Christ.